Hello, today we're going to be going over the changes to the Gigantoraptor and some ways around some of the changes. Let's jump into it. Alright, Wildcard released some patch notes about some of the changes they've done to the Gigantoraptor. They patched the ability to trap the Gigantoraptor or hold basically if you immobilize the Gigantoraptor now, the parent, you can no longer tame the baby won't tame. So that's one of the things they did in the update, which is basically Wildcard giving the middle finger to all the players out there who want to play the game a little differently. You have to play the game the way they want you to play it or else, which is a very bad mentality to have for an open world sandbox game, where players are supposed to have the freedom to choose and play how they want. Alright, so now what they really want you to do is to lay the fertilized eggs down to distract the Gigantoraptor while you go and tame it. We'll get into how to get around that in a little bit and move on from that topic. So one of the things in my taming video I mentioned was that I thought through the testing and stuff, they seemed like they were spawning where the Therazinos spawn, right? That they were sharing spawn points with Therazinos. Well, the patch notes came out, and yeah, they pretty much confirmed that. Mods that mess with the Therazino spawns will break your Gigaraptor spawns. Now, supposedly the patch fixed that. It says fixed issues with the Gigaraptor not spawning with other mods that already override Therazino. Some of the Gigaraptors will now spawn on Nerfheim and things like that. I don't know how to pronounce that map, but but yeah, so if your modded map was having issues getting the Gigaraptor on it, maybe now that'll be fixed. If you're still having trouble finding the Gigantoraptors, there's a few things you can do. If you're on single player, you can run the prevent hibernation code on startup. If you're on officials, or even single player, anywhere really, you can kill Therazinos. Kill all the Therazinos you see. That'll create them to spawn. The reason people are seeing them spawning in one specific area all the time is because that's probably where the people on their server hang out at, or that's where they hang out at. So that's the area that's rendered in. Now, prevent hibernation isn't on servers. Servers hibernate. So unless an area is rendered in, it's not going to spawn these guys. So you're going to have to hang out in an area that you want them to spawn in and kill the dinos that are there. Right? You have to kill, just like any other tame in the game. You have to kill to clear the spawns so they can come back. Now, sometimes you can de-render an area and leave for a little bit and come render it back in, and when you render it back in, stuff will start spawning. The server will realize, oh, stuff is supposed to be here, and spawn it in. But the most active areas on the server is probably where you're going to find the Gigaraptors. So on top of the taming video, I did do an abilities video. It was a little rushed because I have to do this kind of stuff after work. So yeah, trying to get that out to you guys. So one thing I left out of the abilities video is the Gigaraptor has 2 attacks. It can... see if I can get a good camera angle here. It can stomp, right? And then it can bite. Right? The bite doesn't do as much damage as the stomp, but the stomp doesn't collect meat. If you want to collect meat and hide from your kill, you want to bite it. But stomping collects berries and does more damage. Alright, let's go over another ability real quick that wasn't super clear on my abilities video. We're not going to cover all the abilities or anything like that. If you want to see more of that, you can check out the abilities video. It should be linked above in the cards. Alright, so one thing I wasn't clear on, if we go into buffs, you can look at, you have imprinting infinity while you're riding one of these. It shows 0% on everything, right? Imprinted, resistance, damage. Okay, what this does is it gives you, this increases your ability to increase the amount of imprinting you're doing to the bonded dinos. Right, so when you have dinos in the 2 baskets, and you're bonding with them, like we did with this Rex, it will, depending on how well you imprinted on the Gigantoraptor, will change on how big of an imprint bonus you get on your bonded dinos. Alright, now you can see we moved up to 100%, so when we show buffs, there we go. Well, 100% imprinted, now we get 30% damage and 30% resistance. And we should also be able to increase our imprinting by a total of 30% when we bond with a creature. So basically it moves their imprint bar. If you don't know what that is, it's here, your imprinting. That you do for 4% on a Rex, like every time, or maybe even lower than that, depending on your settings. Anyway, so every 8 hours you do an imprint, so this immediately puts you up to 30%, which means you can now miss a few imprints, which is really nice. Alright, so another trick that has to do with the inventory of the Gigaraptor is you bring in some fertilized eggs into its inventory. I don't think Giga Egg will work, we're going to have them tried anyway. So once it's in the inventory, you click on the egg, not sure how that's going to work, how you click on something with the console, but so click on the egg, and what you do, you'll get this added to your saddle slots. And apparently we can do it with the Giga Eggs. Right, and there we go. now we are incubating 2 eggs. Not as good as air conditioners, but hey, it's something. Especially if you're going to play a primitive version of Ark, right? Where you don't have air conditioners and you're just having to use fires. This would be really nice. We don't want to hatch these. So we will remove from the slots by clicking and then removing. And now for console players, I plugged a controller in. I don't have a console, so I don't know if this is how it's going to work for you or not. Alright, so with the controller, I can move the mouse cursor around. I don't know if that's how that works on the console or not. If it does, you can come over here, hover over it. We're still not getting any options. But we can hit A to select it. And now we can come over here and we can put it into the slots. Alright, so Wildcard has a specific way they want you to tame the Gigantoraptor, which after I show you some ways to get around it, they may patch those as well. So this may be the end result here. So go ahead and show you the proper way, and then we'll show you some ways around the proper way. Alright, so the Gigantoraptor wants fertilized eggs. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and give it a Giga Egg. It's going to want to come eat that egg, and then we can get into the nest. The Giga Egg will give us the most time. So as you see, we dropped it. It was close enough for it to detect it. It just took it a minute, because it's... So as you can see, if we're close to when it wants to come eat the egg, it will attack us. So that messes it up. So then you gotta get away from it. Right, so once you've gotten your egg close enough to the adult that it didn't aggro you, but it can see the egg, detect it kind of in its range, it doesn't actually see, it'll start eating the egg. Alright, so Giga eggs and Bronto eggs, fertilized Giga and Bronto eggs supposedly last the longest. So they're the ones you want to use if you can, but of course they take a while to build up, especially Giga eggs. And if you're on a PvP server, or even PvE server, you may not want someone having your bloodlines that you've been working so hard on. Which another player sees you doing this, may run over here and swipe that egg. So you definitely don't want that. So some ways around that is you can use pretty much any fertilized egg, including dodo eggs. The only thing is, the smaller the egg, the less time it takes for them to eat, so you'll need more of them. So you may need to bring 2 players to feed it, to do it the normal way, and just drop a bunch of eggs. And feed them that way. Have one player just constantly dropping eggs to them, while the other player sits in the nest taming. And if you wear a ghillie suit, you're less likely to aggro as well. And with dodo eggs, smaller dodo eggs, you can drop them in a line and bait them away from the nest. Right, you eat one, then they'll move to the next, and move to the next, because they'll keep detecting them. And you can pull them a little bit. Don't pull them too far. If you pull the Gigaraptor too far from the nest, the baby won't let you tame them anymore. And just to show you, we'll go ahead and throw some dodo eggs out here. Hopefully they don't hatch before he comes and eats them. Right, you can't really see the dodo eggs, but they're on the ground there. And there you go. It's eating the dodo eggs. Alright, so that shows you that pretty much any egg will work as long as it's fertilized. So some players are wondering why other players would want to do it any other way. Since this is the way Wildcard intended it, it should be a fun mechanic and all that. Well, there's a few reasons some players wouldn't want to do that. One, if they don't have junk dinos around to make fertilized eggs with, they only have their bloodline dinos, they may not want to put those at risk. Another thing is, a lot of players don't actually like immersive taming. They don't like passive taming, right? So the concept for taming this dinosaur is to lure the parent away and go tame the baby. Why should you have to feed it fertilized eggs if you can lure it away another way? So players shouldn't be punished for luring them away another way. The taming process is not that easy. Right, knocking a dino out, surrounding with the walls, putting narco berries on it, that's easy. Alright, getting in the nest with this baby and having to do tricks with it between, was like 35 to 40 times, and if you mess up, even longer, while also having to keep all the wild dinos away, deal with other players attacking you. It's it's time consuming, it's not fun, and it ends up not being fun in the end, right? It's a fun little gimmick at first, but then it's just not fun anymore for certain types of players. Other players are going to really enjoy this taming process and maybe go tame a bunch of them this way. But if you're on a PvP server, you're probably just wanting to get it and get out. So we're going to show you some tricks on how you can still lure it away without using eggs. Right, the first trick I'm going to show you, you can use whatever you want for this. For me, I just use dino gates because I have them and they're easy. You can use signs, pillars, whatever. A couple of pillars would probably do the trick too, but I'm just going to use 2 dino gates and set up in a V formation near the parent here. Alright, now that we got the gates set up where the parent can push into it, because the parent needs to be able to escape and go check on the nest and stuff for this to work. So we're going to put a stego in here. All right. You probably just want to carry the stego or whatever if you don't want to put corral fridge down. All right, so I apologize. It's not the V. I don't know why I did V. U, kind of like a big U or whatever, just wide enough so I can get in and out and keep the stego pinned against the wall. If you do a V formation, the stego will slide out of the wall and stuff, so that won't work. And then you can just kind of escape, and it will continue fighting. It should continue fighting stego. It's actually going to target me. You may have to have the stego hit it. Let's try that. Of course, when I'm recording, it's not going to work as perfect as it did when I wasn't recording. So we'll hit it a couple times. There we go. Should be mad at the stego now. Should be able to get out of here. Alright, you'll notice it walks back to the nest and then it goes and fights the stego. So it's going to fight the stego, hit him a few times, and go back and check on its nest. So you're probably better off wearing ghillie while doing this. I'll go ahead and do it my flak. Anyway. If it's... When you... Oh, it's coming back. Get away, get away, get away. If it ends up spotting us, then I'll put on ghillie. Alright, spotted us. Wants us to flap our wings. So flap our wings and we get some taming effectiveness. So we're not going to go over the taming process. If you want to know how to fully tame them, I have a taming video on that. I'm just showing you the different ways of luring this away. So you basically lure the parent away. Is it going to see us? Oh yeah, it saw us. Alright, so even in ghillie, if it steps in the nest, it will still see you. So keep an eye out for it. If it stops attacking your dino, run away. But this is still better than using eggs, because you get the same processing problem with eggs, right? So. Alright, so the stego method is probably the one that's going to work most of the time. If you have another player, you won't need the structures. Most likely, Wildcard is going to remove the ability to tame these guys anywhere near structures, which will really suck for official players, because there's structures everywhere. We're going to go ahead and show you another method, which will probably require an RG to pick the baby with when you're done, if it's not inside when you're finished. But we're not going to go through the whole process. You can use dino gates, you can use billboards, whatever you want to use. Uh-oh, did it see us? No. Okay, but you surround the nest in structures. You trap the baby inside with the nest, alright? Then you can just set in here and tame the baby like this. And it works. As long as the parent can get back to the nest, right? So I did it all around the perimeter of the nest, and the parent is considered in range and walking back and forth. And therefore, it lets us tame the baby. Now, if the baby gets stuck in the nest or in the mesh, or if the baby gets stuck, you may need to go in and pick it with a flyer. You can't grapple them out. Unfortunately, I've tried that. They don't, as far as I can tell, you can't grapple them. Alright, there we go. Got the baby unstuck. Right, and the reason this trap works is the parent can still freely move. I've tried using bear traps to hold the parent still, and then that won't work. The baby stops moving, and it won't activate. Again, the reason the stego method will probably work longer than this one is because it's unlikely that they can stop you from using another player on a dinosaur or a dinosaur to hold its attention instead of eggs, as long as you don't use structures. But it's possible they'll put it in a line of code that will require it to be eating fertilized eggs if they really want to get into it. And I hope not. I hope Wildcard stops at this point and just leaves players alone and lets players do it the way they want. Because having to feed it fertilized eggs really is just, it's like having to buy the dinosaur, right? It's just kind of silly. There we go. And as you can see, it's going to let us tame it. So we got to spin. And that's how you get around the new patch. So hurry up and use these techniques before they start patching some more. And hopefully they don't. But if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. Have an awesome day.